I can't keep doing this. Cleaning somebody's toilet, me, Emeka Okafor. Oi, stop daydreaming and finish that stool, mate. We've got 3 more floors to go. What kind of life is this? God, what have I done to myself?
In a public restroom in the heart of London, Emeka Okafor was on his knees, scrubbing a dirty toilet. Emeka thought running from his home country to seek greener pastures would be the end of his suffering. How wrong he was. To understand how Emeka ended up on a bathroom floor in London, you have to go back to the heat of Lagos. Back then, Emeka was an admin officer in a logistics firm. He was not a rich man, but he was not poor either. He had a small 1-bedroom apartment in Ojota. Every morning, Emeka would wake up at 5 a.m. to beat the Lagos traffic. He would iron his shirt until the lines were sharp. He would join the sea of yellow Danfo buses, sweating under the sun before he even reached the bus stop. Life in Nigeria was tough, but he managed. He was getting by. But getting by was not enough. Emeka wanted more. He tried forex trading, but that flopped and took his savings. He tried selling phone accessories, but the profit was like a drop of water in the ocean. He even tried being a house agent in Lekki, but the big commissions never came. Nigeria felt like a giant treadmill. He was running fast, but staying in the same place. Then came the day that changed everything. Before we continue, please take a moment to drop a comment and let us know where you are watching from. We love hearing from our global family. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like so we can keep bringing you these amazing stories. Emeka was drinking at a roadside bar when his friend Dayo sat down beside him. Dayo pulled out his phone and showed him a picture of his younger brother, Toby, in London. Toby was standing in front of a bright red bus, looking fresh.
My brother makes more in a week than you make in 3 months. If you convert 5,000 pounds to naira, you are a big man for life.
Are you serious?
That was the moment the Japa fever caught Emeka. From that day on, everything in Nigeria looked bad to him. He decided he had to leave. To raise the money, Emeka went to the village and sold the only piece of land his father had left for him. When the elders asked why he was selling his heritage, Emeka told them, "I am going to the white man's land to bring back gold. By the time I return, I will buy this whole village." He took that money, plus every kobo from his life savings, and handed over 3 million naira to a visa agent with a smooth tongue and a gold tooth. The agent promised him a work visa and a job as a warehouse manager. Emeka was so blinded by the dream that he didn't even check the papers. The day before he left, his family threw a small party. His mother held his hands, her eyes wet with joy. "Go and conquer the white man's land, my son," she said. Emeka walked into Murtala Muhammed Airport the next day with his chest puffed out. He was dreaming of pounds and soft life. But the moment he stepped off the plane at Heathrow, reality slapped him. The cold was an aggressive chill that made his teeth chatter instantly. He called the agent, but the man's phone was switched off. He stood there for hours, calling a number that would never ring again.
Why is this man not picking? Hey, God.
He finally realized the truth. The work visa was a scam, and the job didn't exist. With no house and no job, the 1,000 pounds in his pocket suddenly felt like loose change. He spent his first 3 nights in a cheap, bed-bug-infested hostel, staring at the ceiling. When the hostel fees began to drain his cash, he realized he had to find a way to survive, and fast. The hustle phase was a nightmare Emeka never expected. For 2 weeks, he walked the streets of London and then Birmingham, his CV tucked under his arm. He would walk into shops, restaurants, and warehouses, forcing a smile. "Please, I am looking for any work. I have a degree in administration. I can manage your records," he would say. The managers wouldn't even look at his CV. "Do you have a national insurance number? Do you have UK experience?"
Sorry, we can't accept that. Oh, I see.
One evening, it started to rain. Emeka didn't have an umbrella. He stood under a bus stop shivering, watching people rush into their warm homes. He was hungry, and the only thing he had eaten all day was a single banana. He felt like a beggar. He, Emeka Okafor, who used to buy lunch for his entire department, was now looking at the coins in his hand to see if he could afford a loaf of bread. Desperation led him to a small, dusty African store in a corner of Birmingham. He begged the owner for a job. The owner looked at him with pity and gave him a number. "Call this man. He doesn't ask many questions, but the work is hard, you understand." Emeka called. The man on the other end had a thick voice. Meet me at the back of the train station at 4 a.m. Bring your own gloves. If you are a minute late, don't bother coming. That was how Emeka got his start. He arrived at 3:45 a.m. trembling in the dark. The man handed him a vest that said clean team and a bucket of industrial acid. £6 an hour, cash at the end of the week. If you break anything, I deduct it. If you complain, you are fired. Clear? Emeka nodded silently. He didn't care about the pay anymore. He just didn't want to starve. Survival in the UK became a different kind of math. Emeka lived in a tiny room shared with 5 strangers. Every morning was a battle between his pride and his hunger. He would spend 8 hours a day scrubbing toilets at New Street Station. Every time a traveler looked at him, they saw a cleaner, someone less than. Once, a man dropped his half-eaten snack on the floor right in front of him and just pointed, waiting for him to bend down. He felt the anger rise, but he kept his head down. The biggest struggle was the lies. Every Sunday, his mother would call. He would sit on his thin mattress and force a wide smile before answering. "Mama, I'm doing very well. London is fine. Work is going well. In fact, they just gave me more responsibilities at the office." He didn't tell her he was washing toilets. Mama would clap and praise God. "Emeka, your sister is starting school, and the neighbors are asking when you will send money for the new church building." Emeka would hang up and cry. The humiliation reached its peak when he was moved to a care home. He had to clean up after strangers who screamed at him in accents he couldn't decode. One afternoon, a bitter elderly man spilled a bowl of porridge all over Emeka's only good sweater. "Go back to wherever you came from," the man yelled. Emeka stood there, the warm porridge dripping down his chest. He felt like a ghost in a foreign land. He was working 3 jobs just to pay for a room that felt like a prison. "Is this my life now?" he muttered. "Is this the abroad everyone talked about?" He started to realize that the London dream was just a mirage. He started to miss Nigeria with a desperation that surprised him. He missed the smell of roasted corn, the smoky taste of the corn Iya Basira sold by the estate gate. He missed the chaos of Lagos mornings. He remembered the Damfo conductors screaming destinations. Back then, it made him angry. Now he realized that noise was actually the sound of life. He missed his mother's cooking, not just the food, but the way she looked at him while he ate. He missed the way Nigerians greeted each other. In London, you could die in your room and nobody would notice until the rent was late. The final straw came exactly 1 year after he had landed. Emeka was back on his knees in that public restroom. He was tired, his back ached, and his hands were peeling. He stopped scrubbing and dropped the brush. The splash echoed. He looked at his reflection in the toilet water and saw a stranger.
Is this life? I cannot continue like this.
He stood up slowly. He took off his yellow, clean team vest. He realized that if he stayed for another 10 years, he might have pounds, but he would have nothing left in his soul.
"I am going back to Nigeria. I cannot continue living this way."
They can laugh at me. They can call me a failure. But I would rather be a struggling man in Nigeria than a slave in another man's country.
He said it again, firmer. "I am going back to Nigeria." Emeka didn't wait. He booked a one-way ticket for the following week. He used almost every pound he had left. He didn't tell his mother or Dayo. He didn't post anything online. He didn't want anyone to talk him out of it. He packed his one suitcase, the same one he arrived with. He knew people would talk. His neighbor back in Ojota would have a field day. "Have you heard? Emeka is back." He couldn't handle London. He rehearsed these conversations and realized he didn't care. The opinions of people who had never left their comfort zone couldn't hurt a man who had survived London winter on cold beans. When the plane door opened at Murtala Mohammed Airport, the Lagos heat rushed in. It was thick and smelled of diesel and dust. To Emeka, it was the smell of freedom. He walked through the airport hearing the familiar shouting and laughing. "Hey, Oga, come out for road now," a man shouted.
Oga, come out for road. Wetin be this? Sorry, sir. I no see you at all. My apologies.
He walked out and stood on the curb. He saw a Damfo bus.
Ikorodu, enter with your change, oh.
Emeka stood there for a long time, just breathing. He was back to square one. He had no land and no job. He had spent a year and all his savings on a mirage. But as he looked at the messy city of Lagos, it felt good to be home. He walked to a woman selling roasted corn. He bought one. He took a bite. It was exactly as he remembered. The Japa dream had cost him everything he thought was important. But standing there, Emeka understood. Greener pastures mean nothing if the soil you're standing on was never really yours. He was home. Nigeria was tough, yes, but it was where he belonged. And for Emeka Okafor, that was enough.
I'm finally home.
Thank you so much for watching this story. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with your friends. See you in our next one.